It's the English and English podcast. That's Eric.
That's Brett.
We're going to get started.
Get it started in here.
We were just talking about, I don't remember what brought it up exactly.
The flight attendants?
Flight attendants, yeah. Oh, I remember, because I was saying, like, in the hotel industry, which I've had some experience in, there's, like, weird conditions on flight attendants. Like,
and pilots.
It's a contract that, hotels will like, because the company pays for the attendants and pilots to stay every so many hours of flight time.
Right.
They have to
so
have a certain number of downtime.
With Delta or whatever, then Delta's always going to use
right. Always going to use them, and every so many weeks you're going to get, or every so many days a week, you're going to get some rooms taken care of by these pilots. They're guaranteed business, with a big corporate.
And they probably don't fuss about the rates either, because they just show up.
It's preset rates. Yeah, like preset. The pilots don't pay for it. It's preset rates. You just say they check for availability with you this week. Like, hey, we got a team coming in. But anyway, there's these weird conditions. I'm sure it's all union stuff.
It's all union and underwriter stuff for insurance.
Right, because like one of them is they can't have ground floor rooms.
Yeah.
Because it's in the rules that they can't have ground floor rooms.
Because of rapists.
Yeah, presumably because one time somewhere, and that's what one of the flight attendants
said. Either that
or
or somebody got something stolen.
Right. Well, they said specifically, it was some woman said to me when I was working at this hotel that because one woman one attendant got assaulted, or like a stalker went after her, and it's like
they can't climb a stairs.
Like they can't use an elevator,
right.
And if they already knew what room they were in,
right,
it wouldn't matter.
Well, because they just followed them and watched them go in. Like they're going to stalk them up to the edge of the stairs and be like, "Damn!" As you watch them thwarted again.
Rapist's only weakness.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh Jesus!
And it's like. And then we were joking around that, and
because I doubt the person physically broke in to where like they had a ground floor window, and that's what made it easy.
Right, that's probably what it was. So they could see him on the ground floor, perhaps more. So.
No, I don't think it was that. I think they followed them probably.
Well, most likely, but like even if it was the window, you can close the blinds. Right, right. Like this is just a standard procedure thing in a hotel.
But I'm saying it was probably not really that. Like, the guy threw his chair through the window and got it out.
No, I mean, he might have seen into the window on the ground floor and then been like, that's the one. Like, he just
walks around on the ground floor.
But it's very easy,
curtains open.
Too, to come through and be like, just stay, hide out in the lobby.
It's just interesting because, I mean, like, it's...
And watch people.
From, like, an underwriter standpoint, I can't imagine a statistically...
meaningful event.
Any difference.
It's just like so many things, though, that are affecting our society. From the underwriter standpoint, statistically insignificant problems still come up with statistically significant payouts.
Well, you see,
so
right.
you
see this in the Army, too, that when something happens, they just want something to be done about it. They don't really go through to be like, look, is this really going to actually make a difference? They just say, some middle managers, like, what are we going to do about this? Find out this doesn't happen. But, I mean, you just see it in the Army all the time because of that. There's that very... structured hierarchy
so they can make
rank, so that not only so they can make it happen, but so there's always like upper level people looking down saying, what are you going to do about this?
That's right, yeah.
And then that makes him be like, I've done something, and we'll say from now on you have to wear a PT belt on your motorcycle so you can't crash. And it's like, it doesn't matter. And like, then something else will happen. Like, okay, now you have to do this. What are you doing about this?
Chalking up that one incident to either that person's stupidity
or just statistical
bad
variance.
Luck, they just say everyone must take measures now.
So that means that anytime something bad happens, and sometimes it is preventable stupidity, but that means every time there's a new rule added on.
Right.
So now you just have like a
instead of going to something in which there was a frequent problem, like this kind of motorcycle always throws off drivers in a turn.
Right.
Then, yes, you need to take precautions. Right. Either the Army needs to buy a new vehicle, or they need to train people better.
I mean, these were just like private motorcycles. Like, there's these rules, like, anytime you're on military post with a motorcycle, there's like an absurd number of like different safety things you have to follow.
I'm just giving an example.
Because like some 19-year-old privates like to crash their motorcycles.
Let's say it was something like I was saying, it still comes up with the same problem. That instead of then going, one guy gets drunk off base, comes back into base a little after he's supposed to, and crashes, then they're like, shore leave canceled.
Right, yeah.
Everyone straps into the bike and gets a sidecar so it's stable.
Right, get dragged with the bike.
Right, yeah, and it's like, this is retarded.
It is, obviously retarded.
But it's like that throughout our society. That's the mentality within our society now, is preventative medicine, no matter how many more chains it puts on you, is always preferred for some reason.
Yeah, because, I mean, I think there's this... Yeah, there's this... I think among the bureaucracy, it's because... somebody wants to be the one who's done something, or
they want to look like they're doing something.
And from the society at large, there's like this. They think it actually makes a difference.
Well, it's all that somebody should do something.
That's what I mean. And so when something gets done, they're like, oh, okay,
they get to nod their heads
without realizing that nothing actually has been improved. It just made it more of a pain in the ass.
More tedious, yeah. You get
to actually prevent any of these things from happening.
All the little,
just like
the clutch of mother hens get to go, well, that's good. Somebody did something. Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah, the babies won't die now.
Right.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Right.
Life
Whereas just like with the flight attendants, nothing that would actually prevent anything had been changed.
No. The amount of safety that actually adds by not staying on the ground floor has to be negligible.
Uncalculable, I imagine. Because we're talking about one incident, maybe two, of like thousands and thousands of stays. It could just be an outlier anyway. Right. And if it's not,
and it was a case what they described to me. If that was the one that used as justification, it was a case where somebody was stalking this person
it was like
anyway.
Because it was that specific person.
It was a targeted crime. So this person was not going to be safe no matter what floor they went on.
Or even it may have not happened at the hotel. It could have been at a restaurant.
The safety could have only been improved by going to a secure location, which no standard hotel offers you.
Right.
They are not responsible for your safety.
Right.
They don't have security guards. They don't have...
Exactly.
They have key locks with the little, electronic keys nowadays, and so you can't just pick them, perhaps.
Right.
But at the same time, if a determined criminal could jam the door open, they're not...
Or just sit there and knock, and most of the time people would be like, yeah.
Yeah, they could knock and say, they could knock and say, housekeeping, in a fake
like,
voice.
oh, did you drop this? I think you dropped this
I found
outside.
a cell phone in the hallway. Is this yours? There was a $20.
Yeah, did you drop this? Or just most of the time if somebody just knocks, they're going to
most hotels are not allowed to give out your room number anyway. All hotels.
Yeah, but if you're just like following the person.
Right, so it's not that, but that's my point. The staff is not going to do anything that endangers you, but your security is still your own responsibility. They are not going to do anything that adds to the security. They're just not going to simply do anything that endangers you because of their training. They're not allowed to give stuff out without consent from the person in the room. So if somebody comes down and is like, oh, I need to know what room this person is in, you're like, okay, I'll call the room is all I can do. And so then you know who that person is that's calling for you, and you can say, I don't know who that is. Don't give them my room number. But like I said, a targeting psychopathic criminal, this would have happened regardless of what floor they were on. They would have just walked up to the room, waited them to come out or something, or forced their way in somehow, and been like, you fit my perfect ideal. I need your skin.
I need your skin. I was just going to say that. I was going to be like, I need your skin. It's disturbing how much we think alike.
And the only thing that would have saved that person at that point is having ugly skin, or like a weapon or a security officer of some kind that traveled with them.
Or like a laser baton.
No, yeah, the laser baton. It was a stun baton, technically. Nerd point. Stun baton from Star Wars. Shock baton.
Pulls it out of her bag.
Oh, yeah. Traitor!
Exactly.
Shocks the guy.
Traitor?
What? You don't get my reference?
No, I just have to say that. Yeah, exactly.
It's what activates the electricity.
Yeah.
But the other thing that this made me think of is that, people were talking about it like this, and the one woman who said to me was actually an attractive woman, but like the other flight attendants we all have, it's like, the likelihood of this happening is also low
when you have a
flight
attendants
just start. Yeah, exactly. There was this Harridan woman who was like just complaining about the restaurants. Like, oh, they keep booking us in hotels where there's no restaurants near us.
Like you could skip.
I'm like, I don't know. You could get a hotel. I mean, not a hotel. I'm sorry, a cab. You're in a hotel.
Yeah,
you
get an Uber
a cab,
or something. Yeah.
You can get an Uber. I understand it's inconvenient that you can't just walk. Like I point out 3 that you could walk to that were not like chain restaurants.
Right.
Like, hey. Or one was chain restaurants, one that was local, but and then there was like an Applebee's.
Well, you know what? Like I always say, people, we have a word for people who get whatever they want.
Right.
They're called millionaires.
Right.
You're not one. Suck it up, Buttercup.
Right.
You're a fucking flight attendant.
Right. Yeah.
You don't get whatever you want.
Right. Find the best on the options available to you and stop complaining.
Or in the words of Mike Cernovich, cry more.
Right, yeah.
Cry some more about it.
Right, so anyway, like flight attendants are all, half of them are just gay dudes these days anyway. Right. So I don't know, maybe the crime rate amongst them is higher. Right. Maybe because
because they invite strange dudes back to their place.
Invite strange. We can't have ground floor rooms because our organs
I
go
got
bad.
raped. That's what you paid for.
Right.
Oh, right.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I want him to actually
the ad said for rape call.
Right, yeah. Yeah, but I also stipulated he was supposed to climb the raid gutter and come in the window. Yeah. In ground floor rooms, you don't
asked to
allow
come
that.
in. Does that sound like rape to you?
Right, yeah, exactly.
I want my money back.
Right, yeah, exactly. Mike Cribs had specifically specified forced entry of both
double forced entry in the room and the
myself.
anus. Yeah.
Oh God!
That reminds me of the skit that we came up with. I don't think we should talk about it because we'll probably make it.
Well, then don't tease them with that.
We gotta watch our videos.
All right, keep an eye out. We've been a little lax with videos, but we're gonna get on top of these things.
All we need for the skit is a ski mask and a fake knife.
Oh, that one.
And a couple of actors.
Yeah. So keep an eye out for that one.
I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, no, that's great. Moving on, though, before we delve into too much inside baseball there. When you mentioned Cernovich, it made me think of some other fun terms. On Chetio Hartis recently, he had an article about us linking to somebody's comment or essay where they coined the term emotional obesity, basically.
Oh, emotional obesity. Okay.
Empathy obesity. That's what it was. It was empath obesity.
I thought you were saying immobile, obesity is so
so
big it renders you immobile.
Well, that does exist
that
already.
Exists.
Yeah, but no, it's empath obesity. Is what they call it. And the idea of basically it was another way of calling pathological altruism. Basically, the idea that
it's run amok.
It's run amok. People are gorging themselves on the feeling of being empathic to the point that just like empathy is a useful thing in a society that it creates bonds in a society.
Yeah.
Just like food is a useful thing in society, but now when it's too much,
you can't.
It gorges yourself, and you
like
can't
your body's
stop.
Natural impulse to get food is necessary, but in a situation where you can overgorge on it,
right? Exactly.
Problems.
You can overdo it.
Right.
Well, so I was commenting on the thing, and I was like, "Yeah, that's a very good term, but it's not really good. It doesn't roll off the tongue.
Yeah.
It's like a quip, which is saying oh, good, you need this rhetorical shivs like this.
Yeah,
so
not
let's
rhetoric.
go with fat feels. We'll just say so instead of saying, "Hey, you empath obese bitch," you say, "Hey, you fat feels bitch,"
or
and then
feel fat.
You feel fat bitch, and then they go, "What?" They think you're talking about their actual body, and then it gets you both ways.
Most likely
sounds like body shaming, but you're also
most likely literally obese also.
Right? Yeah, exactly. So you get to body shame and talk about why their corpulent ego needs to feed on the idea of how benevolent they are all the time.
Seymour. I need status signal.
Right? Yeah, exactly. I need the virtue signal.
Yeah, exactly. That reminds me. I was reading something about. Well, it's two things. They just did a restudy of penis size to find.
That.
So you saw that?
Yeah, it was like
so many people were complaining or asking their doctors. I guess
is this normal?
Am I normal? Because probably just because of porn and stuff.
Right. Yeah.
That they finally did a 15,000 person study,
the biggest one they've done or something.
Right,
like that.
and it was a fairly normal, like I said,
pretty much what everybody
just over 5 inches average.
Right.
So I mean, whatever. But then that reminded me to look up because I remember reading somewhere that breast size has grown average, especially in the U.S.
Yeah.
From 32B 25 years ago to now it's 34 double D.
Yeah.
But most of that's because there's some implants that are skewing it a little bit. But most of it's just because of morbid obesity.
Right. Yeah.
With these pendulous pancake titties
let's
skewing.
Let's be careful with what we call a good set of breasts.
Yeah. I don't even consider that a breast.
Size,
it's just a penis.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Size is not
Google
as important
penis,
as proportion and beauty. You know what I mean? I got 32 double X's.
Right.
You also have a 32 double X ass.
Yeah, if the measurements alone are not enough, the size is not necessarily.
You can have udders and you can have breasts.
Exactly. That's what I said. It's not a breast. It's a penis.
Penis. Yeah. If it goes
Google
over,
penis if you dare.
If the breast goes below the diaphragm, it's not really a big set of breasts.
Or you can just trap things, lose remotes and
fleshy,
sandwiches,
nodes,
yeasty folds under.
Right, yeah, exactly.
It doesn't count.
Right, you have to.
It's like a guy being like, I have 26-inch arms because he weighs 1,000 pounds.
Right, yeah, and
he's got
those giant flapping neck flaps,
exactly.
Going everywhere.
Fucking waddle under his
arm.
Right,
yeah, exactly.
That's not like the Hulk Hogan 23-inch arms.
Right, exactly. You can have 23-inch arms that are all obese fat.
Yeah.
And you can have 23-inch arms that are ripped muscle that, gets you into Mr.
Thunder
Universe. Right, yeah, exactly. There's a difference. Size is not the only factor.
Right.
Here.
Exactly. But it reminded me, So everything's getting more extremely bad.
Right. Some of it's probably also just differences in as a society breeds, it gets more people a certain traits and sexually attracted within that society.
Is we're starting to learn a bunch of weird shit about genetics and how they don't work nearly the same way that everyone thought.
Right.
And
certain kinds of memory traits and attitude traits may be depending on the state of the person at the time they conceived the child. For example,
not only that, but
life
physical
experience
stuff. Like you said,
far.
we assume that something that happened to you after you were born
doesn't affect
genetics. Like if you were normal and then all of a sudden you ate McDonald's for 3 months and got obese, that your genes are not going to have changed from that. But apparently they can be affected from that. Like someone who has a kid...
genes are actually a little bit more of the picture of you at that time
right.
than they are a picture of that never changes.
But not in the way that like it doesn't just like change your... It's really complicated, obviously.
Well, certain parts will never change, obviously. And certain parts are malleable.
So like someone who has a kid, then starts living a shitty lifestyle, becomes morbidly obese for 20 years, has another kid... It's like they're giving them different genetics, actually, which is crazy. Right. Which is why, because I was always saying, like, we haven't really seen enough. Most of it is still lifestyle. You know, obviously you can affect, and I'm assuming it'll probably works in the reverse, too. You could probably repair some of that. Right. Or reverse
but that's what's fun. You can have a person who, like, lived an early shitty life and then started to succeed and had a bunch of, like, confidence and good muscles and testosterone, and then they have a kid then.
Yeah, that kid's going to be
higher chance of mirroring them at that stage of life than their early stage of life, even though their genetics came from the same place. It's just that the dad's genetics literally have altered over his time because of his physical
and another weird, scary one is that like women, they're finding out that females can absorb DNA from like their sex partners, even if they don't actually conceive from that person. Right, so like it changes not only their DNA, but it can affect the DNA of a future kid that they have with another person because the DNA is now in their system, or at least elements of it.
And now it turns out that all those old...
I wonder why they value chastity so much.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Well, because you'd see... It was one of those things that, like, again, to bring up Cernovich, he talks about, like, bro science. The way he describes it is stuff that people know and they do it without really realizing why, or, like, the science behind it. They just know it works. Right. And you see this in a lot of, like, agricultural breeding and show breeding. They would value, females that had never been bred before, especially with, like, a mutt, even if it didn't...
Right.
If the one they were siring it with now was 100% purebred, and that could be why, because they noticed these traits.
Right.
Where like there was one that I was reading, and this is called like telegony or something, I believe, which was like basically quote unquote debunked when they started understanding modern genetics, and now we're starting to realize that there's some merit to it.
Right.
And there'd been stories about like people had like a horse that they were breeding, and like they bred it with like a striped, like a zebra or whatever, and the offspring had like some stripes to it. Like, okay, that makes sense. But then like the next one that it had with the normal horse also had some of that stripe pattern, which should have been like basically impossible.
Right.
And like little things like that. So
yeah, no, I mean, I think it's something that some people have pointed out that everybody's idea of natural selection, Darwinistic evolution. Is going to be upended a whole hell of a lot by the actual understanding
when they find out genetics,
in the ways that not necessarily, like people like to think that it's all mutations,
right?
And then the mutations lead to, and as we've already argued on here, that doesn't make any sense. It makes
no sense in a practical
just from the sense of that, like
speciation,
a species would have to generate a penis and vagina at the same time, go from being asexual, split, and
they'd have to, their mutations would have to be in a way that they speciated, but equally, so that but only them could crossbreed or something.
Right, and just the
definition of a species is one that can't reproduce with another species.
Right.
So to create a new species, you'd have to have at least two of them. Basically within the same lifespan.
But even within subspecies, like the different things, like a lot of those traits just wouldn't happen by mutation so much as.
So even if you say that the mechanism exists, like it's so absurd that could happen. Right. In any regular way, even on like a geological time scale.
Right.
It's
so really,
absurd.
you get a lot faster genetic changes, as we can see. Like you can force breed and get almost a totally different sub-breed of animal. I mean, you do get a sub-breed of animal just by the way we breed dogs.
Right.
So it's more likely that...
But they're still the same species.
Well, subspecies are totally different.
But I mean, they could breed.
You do a Labrador and a
like
poodle,
a Chihuahua and a Great Dane.
Right, but what I'm saying is that, so you don't see anything that goes completely outside of species through any genetic... Other than,
single-celled organisms.
Single-celled organisms or something, maybe. I don't even know on that regard. But we do see that a lot more genetic variation can happen a lot more quickly within a species than we thought before.
And it's like actually instigated by factors, not just like, oh, poof, out of nowhere, here's a
right, not
here's
a random.
mutation.
I got
and
hit
it just
by a radioactive isotope.
And of all the mutations, this one is good, so it'll stay.
Right, yeah.
Because that's the thing is that for that to work, you would have to be seeing so many mutations.
Right, mutations have to happen at a much larger rate
all the time. Yeah.
Because the majority of them would be useless. So
right, the vast majority
would be
like
useless.
an insane, almost
like one develops gills in the desert randomly.
Yeah,
what the fuck is it going to do?
Right, and there'd be. And according to the normal, from what I understand, the normal Darwinistic evolution due to mutations. That's sort of what they're saying. Is that these mutations to develop gills aren't because they're like around water,
right?
But just because when they do develop the mutation, then they're the ones that are in a place where it helps them survive.
But now there's evidence that it is because
they're around water. There's always been evidence that there isn't just because you're not seeing those mutations. You'd have to see so many mutations.
That's the thing that's always been struck to me.
And you never see that.
Not to drag this on for too much longer, but I think even though recorded history has not been that much on the quote-unquote geological time scale according to this theory,
right?
The process would still be happening continuously, and within the days of modern science, we should have noticed some sort of species that changed to a significant degree due to the process. Or at least see
a hell of a lot more just natural mutations.
That's what I'm saying. You should have seen some
even if it didn't get to reproduce and create a new species.
Right, but you should see many more young of species that are born mutated,
right?
And even if many of them die off and it doesn't ever end up making a new species, this ongoing process should still happen a lot more per generation. Otherwise, it's just not happening.
Well, that's why you look and they can't even tell you like what the rates of speciation or mutation are because it's just bogus,
right? Yeah,
and you don't even have to like support an alternate theory,
right?
Just explicitly to recognize that it's bogus,
right? Yeah.
But
anyways, I don't know what the real mechanism is.
Yeah, I don't care. I don't really care.
It's obvious that it's.
I'm not just going to
believe
going different
than
is fairly obviously, but it's weird because I think genetics work in just ways that we can't even imagine, probably. So
in some ways, yeah, like there's how much of it right now, like people thought the genetic code was like 90% of your genetic code or 80% is like useless code, and people would say that
probably
kind of stuff. It's turning out it's probably going to be bunked because a lot of this stuff is like either stored data
or like waiting to be activated,
or it's what happens because of the ways that you take on other DNA from your experiences,
right? Exactly, from your experiences and
your contact with other DNA.
Yeah, whether that's like bacteria and everything. Because they even say like of all the cells that are physically contained within your body, like 80% of them are not even yours. They're all just like the bacteria and stuff like that.
Right, the other organisms.
And when it comes to number of cells, not necessarily mass, but just the sheer number of actual cells.
They're so small.
But there's just trillions of them.
Trillions of them that are other organisms that.
So I don't want the DNA in my body.
Yeah. Well, speaking of DNA swapping, this was a funny story. I don't know what. Not funny. It's more sign of the stupid times within the
idiocracy upon us.
Idiocracy upon us in terms of the justice system. It's the UK justice system, so it's not quite ours, but you can see it happening here. A man who was not convicted of anything, just somebody put a like restraining order type thing, called something else in the UK, but some sort of restraining order type thing. He is banned from having sex with anyone unless he contacts the police within 24 hours, noting who it will be.
Ahead of time?
Ahead of time.
How do you supposed to know that?
If he leaves his jurisdiction that he was charged in, he has to contact the local one saying, I've come here now. I am now in your city.
That's absurd.
Like, I don't even understand.
How does that even stand?
How does that even stand when you're not being charged with anything?
What I would do is just turn around and put one right on the person who did it to me.
Yeah.
With the same level of evidence.
That's the other thing. Like, there was another story.
Of course, they won't do it. Because
which I actually got from watching, quick little plug, Chapin's Inferno. He's a guy who does online stuff. Found him through Aaron Clary and other people who promoted him. He just does little quick, like, 10-minute daily, where he finds a news story and talks about it, kind of thing. And Chapin's Inferno is the name of the channel or whatever. And but anyway, he did one where there's some Uber driver got accosted by
a doctor in Miami,
some little girl.
I watched that video and I was like, man, I would have popped that girl in the face.
Right? Yeah.
All you have to say is like, because I mean, like people think it's stupid, but when someone's like swinging at your face, you can easily lose an eye or something from a single punch. Or like she tried to knee him in the groin, that could cause permanent damage.
Right. People don't understand how much you can get fucked up in a fight.
Well, just from
without weapons.
Like, I was just talking to Dad, and he's talking about the website where some guy, I don't remember the name, but he chronicles, basically the whole point of the site is to chronicle people that have died from a single strike. Yeah. Whether that be because they fall over and hit their head or whatever. But just seriously bottled in people, especially older people, but it can happen to anyone.
It can, yeah.
And so when someone is physically trying to attack, right, because then...
If you were knocked into unconsciousness and then you fall... A lot like the old guy I'm thinking of is the recent guy
from the polar bear game. And stuff.
Yeah, knocked out by a blow to the back. The head fell, struck his head against the curb, and he was already concussed, and now he's bleeding internally in his head and dies.
Right, from a
blow, because he fell 6 feet straight onto his head on the curb.
Yeah, exactly. And but regardless of so anyone is physically attacking you, at least in the U.S., we have at least some semblance of
the right to defend
sanity
yourself.
And with the
you would have a big legal battle, but at this point. people are going to have to start.
I mean, I just would have choked her out, luckily, because that's what I recommend is being able to choke people because. It
looks a lot better in court.
Not only does it look better, but there's in the entire competitive history of like judo, jiu-jitsu, martial arts, no one's ever been killed from choking.
Right.
You certainly can kill someone from choking,
but you have to intentionally
do it. But you can show like it's not like even one punch.
Right.
Like you have to hold it for a long time, and it shows you that you went with a method that is
attempting
to subdue them, not to hurt them.
Rightly or wrongly, it's viewed as a more humane.
But you can but you just have to be able to articulate it, to be able to say like we're saying, like I feared for these reasons. Look at this website. Look at all these people who lost their vision or whatever. Right. I get clawed in the face. I don't know what's in her hand. Could have been a knife. And also,
if for nothing else,
basically just say what the cops say. When they
and you also don't know how far that person is willing to go.
Right.
Let's say they're just scratching at you now. They may, like this person started throwing scissors and stuff.
Right. What if she had a razor blade in her hand?
What if she decided to go further, spray mace in your face, and then when you're blinded, start to do worse to you.
Yeah, cut you and stuff.
Like this thing, you never know how far somebody's willing to go in a fight.
Right.
And now this guy probably did what was
Zangief'd her on the concrete.
Right. He did what was okay.
He did what was safest legally.
Right.
Which is sadly what you have to worry about more than anything.
But what he should have done is, then this is what I pointed out to the Chapin guy because he gave sound advice. It's like, it's very nice. You probably did. He said the same thing. You probably did what was right legally, but you should have pressed charges.
Oh, absolutely.
This kind of stuff is not going to stop.
Yeah, you never always press charges.
These entitled people are going to feel that they can go off on you because no one's ever.
Because the same thing. The reason girl did this is because she's done it before. She's like a cute 100-pound girl. No one's ever worried about it. They're like, oh, girl, then they. So
no one's ever
there's no consequences.
She's
not even going to lose her job. She got like a leave of absence. She'll be back.
Right,
I would have absolutely pressed her, and I would have sued. I would have sued him for like emotional damages or whatever.
Right, yeah.
Like I can't drive Uber anymore because I'm scared of people attacking me.
Right, or also now my face without my consent is all over the internet,
and now it makes me look like a douchebag because I can't handle a 100-pound girl. Or whatever.
Yeah. My two options were to either be a douchebag for pummeling this chick,
or go to jail,
or to take a beating from this woman and
look like a pussy.
So it's like punish him. Like
I'd still rather be the guy that punched that girl through the glass.
Oh yeah, exactly. It would be better.
It's
to be the
crazy to see people's reaction. They'll sit there and watch someone slap, punch, attack someone, and then a single strike from the dude, and it's like, oh, what the fuck are you doing?
Right, yeah, exactly. They will watch the aggressor aggress for minutes, hours.
Like violently, not just like being annoying, but like actually attack this person.
It just shows how uncultured people are.
Right.
Because that's what the thing is, that people don't understand that, they think like, oh, you should never hit a woman and all these things. Like, yes, there's a reason that idea came about, but you don't understand the reasons for it, the conditions in which it originated.
And no one intelligent ever actually says that.
Right, no. Because, the reason that idea came about was the same reason that
first of all, the idea was that a gentleman should never hit a lady.
But a person had to be a lady.
Yeah, the definitions are important here.
Right, exactly.
Gentleman and lady.
Exactly where I was going.
It wasn't that, a male should never physically strike a female for any reason.
The idea was...
Because that makes no fucking sense.
A gentleman does not beat his wife because he's high class, and a lady does never need a beating because she's high class.
Someone who needs a beating, they're not a lady by definition.
Yeah, by definition, if you need a beating...
Like that woman in that video was not a lady.
No, exactly.
She was a fucking acting like an animal.
Right. A lady would never need something that the police would have to intervene on like that, okay? So,
but some people genuinely think if a drug-addled female breaks into your house with a knife, you're not supposed to, or punch them or something.
Right,
Give me a fucking, go fuck yourself.
Exactly.
Blow it out your ass.
Right.
Okay, fine. I won't hit her. I'll fucking shoot her.
It's all virtue signaling. It's got these ideas of look how good a person I am that I would never hit a woman.
The only thing I can say is
she's stabbing your children. I still wouldn't.
I still wouldn't because that's how good of a person I am. You're a fucking cuck is what you are.
You're just
your virtue signaling is more important than literally your family.
Well, some
safety.
of it is people don't even know their virtue signaling. Like I said, people have been so encultured with certain ideas that when
hell's probably changed their DNA by now.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Like all training, you respond in the crisis with the way you've been indoctrinated the most. You know what I mean?
Whenever you train every day, that's what you do and react in the moment.
They react in the moment with, I can't do anything about this girl
right. At
because
the time
I can't
that
touch
it happens, they're not even making a decision. That is their mental script now.
The mental script is to avoid conflict with a woman.
Yeah, you never hit women.
Even if the woman is the criminal and the aggressor.
Right. And other people's lives are even in danger.
Right.
Like, if you want to do it for your own physical health and well-being, that's one thing. I still think you're retarded.
And irrespective of men and women, a lot of it's just this modern idea of, there's no...
violence.
There's no rights and boundaries, and violence is never the answer and everything. back in the day, male or woman, if someone stepped on to damage your car or your house, it's like, this is my property.
Right.
I have the right to say, don't touch that. It should be said,
though, that you can't use, legally, you can't use violence to defend property. So don't
I'm saying,
because you'll go to jail.
No, I'm not saying that that's legally.
No, I know. I'm just saying for the listeners, just in case, don't get the wrong
disclaimer,
idea.
Don't get the wrong. That's a good point. Don't get the wrong idea. But I'm saying, at some point in society, it was like that. Is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like you would have been within your rights to grab a person and be like, "You broke the china in my house. Get the fuck out and toss them."
And if they complained, it would have been like, You're fucking complaining?
This uncouth
like, you're fucking
complaining?
Exactly. Get the fuck out of here.
The cops would have come up.
You want to send him away with a kick to the ass.
Right, the cops would have been like, what's the trouble here, sir? It's like, this gentleman, this man came into my house and started smashing the tea, the teacups, and I offered him a biscuit and he said, fuck you, and took a shit in the corner. And they would have been like, get out of here, you're right, we're taking you down the drunk tank, Right. Nowadays, they would have been like, did you touch him? And he's like, well, yeah, I had to move him out of the house. Like, oh, you're going to jail. Nowadays, you literally see situations where people come back to their rental houses and someone has moved in. Squatting, yeah.
I don't know why they even call the cops first. Because I would just go in there and beat the shit out of them and then call the cops and be like, oh, I came into my house. And
there was a stranger.
Well, someone came into my house and I had to throw them out. I wouldn't even tell them they were already there.
Right, yeah, exactly. That's what's funny to me, that doesn't happen more. I guess people are just more...
they're weak and afraid.
Well, no, it's not even that. People are more... It's, I guess, a nice thing. They're more not quick to talk about it than they are, talk something out than immediately go to, but if I walked into this house and a stranger was in it, my first instinct wouldn't be like, what are you doing here? Yeah. It'd be like, fuck, dive for the nearest, weapon that I have somewhere, hoping that they haven't grabbed one of mine.
Which wouldn't be that far,
by the way.
Yeah,
doing it right,
Yeah, it wouldn't be very far.
Because my first concern would have been, what if my weapons have they grabbed while they're, and then... Exactly. Well, what are they doing in here? Who have my,
But it wouldn't be like, oh man, please come out.
Right,
fuck that.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. My first instinct wouldn't be to find out, to talk to them to see if they're a squatter. It would be, I've been robbed, or I've got a trespasser. My first instinct would be, I've got a violent
is their first instinct too. They just don't have the mental scripts, the physical ability.
You're right. They probably just go back outside, call the cops, and say, "There's a random person in my house." And the cops, and then the person when the cops show up says,
"It's like, no, I live here.
I live here. I have."
And then they have some fucking dispute to settle, right?
Right. Yeah.
Which is ridiculous.
Instead of grabbing your concealed carry, going kneel, get on the ground.
Before Zod.
Right. Oh, that makes me think. There was this really cool, or it's like a Japanese fighting game or whatever, that. It's called Guilty Gear or whatever. Nothing, but there was this cool intro for a new character that's in it, newer. And I was like, that's a badass line. It's like this guy, in his intro shows his soldiers lining up and they're stamping their weapons on the ground. And one says grave crimes deserve, and stamp it, and the troop responds, grave punishment. And the other guy stamps his weapon. He says, petty crimes deserve, grave punishment. And then the leader whips out his weapons and goes, and only I can pardon. And he starts to fight. And I'm like, that's badass.
Grave crimes deserve. Or petty crimes deserve grave punishment.
Grave crimes deserve grave punishment. It's like petty crimes deserve grave punishment. That's hard. That's hard.
Yeah. That's funny. So what else we got on the list?
We're just browsing through the news here. A lot of stuff, of course, about the campaigns and everything here. A recent Drudge Poll puts Trump at 36%, Sanders at 29%, Cruz at 19%.
Fucking lunatic.
And let's look at that. Yeah,
I really hope. First of all, Hillary, if she gets indicted,
Hillary's worse. Even though Sanders might be worse for the country in terms of breaking us
for the country.
No, you're right. He's not. But he might be worse financially. He'll break us even more.
Yeah, but see, the country's pretty much doomed financially.
But that would be good because it would start to show the cracks.
And it would show how that stuff doesn't work, but. Not that anyone needs it. But anyways, my point was
this is glorious. Clinton, according to this poll, of course, this was a Drudge poll.
But it was 1 million people.
1 million people. Clinton was at 0.8%.
I mean, you could get 1 million people from, Huffington Post or whatever, and it would be the opposite. But
right. But
it does show amongst conservatives.
What's interesting to me, when I've been talking to people about this, is I don't even get the Clinton campaign right now. Because
what is she campaigning on?
She's campaigning on
just a name alone, name and gender.
I'm a woman. That's her. All that she talked about is that I've done politics for a long time. I know what I'm doing, and I'm a woman.
She has no platform.
She has no platform,
and she lies about fucking everything.
She lies. Oh God! Liar. I can't believe they have not started the investigation yet. the FBI is
no, they are. They've been investigating the whole time. They just haven't started.
Charges hasn't come up.
Well, I've heard from what I've been following the information. it seems actually at this point, a lot of people think that they will recommend to the Attorney General that charges are filed. The FBI will say...
They absolutely should.
And of course, I mean,
because if nothing else...
proven that she's broken the law.
Proven. If nothing else, the only two things it could be, like, know for fact she's done it. They only have to determine if it's negligence or willful at this point.
Well, it doesn't matter with, like, the mishandling of classified information. I mean, like, it's one of those things that you've either done it or you haven't.
Well, right, exactly. Like, but I'm saying, like, that's my point. Is that, like, your intent is the only thing to talk about, and that's not that relevant at this point.
Right, exactly. I mean, if she did it on purpose, then it's borderline treason.
It's like saying whether or not it was manslaughter or premeditated murder. Either way, you've killed a man, and we know it. And you're going to jail.
But, I mean, they've uncovered some emails recently where she actually told them to remove the headings from the classified stuff so that they can email it.
Right, so it's no longer blocked under classified.
It's already 10,000 times worse than what Petraeus got railroaded for.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, the only question is whether the Attorney General...
It's worse than any scandal her husband was involved in.
Yeah, for sure. It's the only question is whether the Attorney General will press charges or not, which hopefully the pressure will be so great. From what I've seen, there's a lot of people in the FBI who are, like, threatening a borderline, like, coup if they don't go forward with it.
They absolutely should, because that's...
Well, because...
That's
also,
their job,
the intelligence community is sort of unwilling to accept compromise in, like, the handling of classified, like the NSA and everything.
Right, yeah.
They're not going to be like, oh, well, if you're a famous politician, you don't have to follow the rules of handling classified material. No, bullshit. Right. They're not going to allow a precedent to be set. A rare
case where I side with our over-burgeoning intelligence community.
They can't afford to, regardless of their motivations for why, they can't afford to let a precedent be set where...
Well, if nothing else, they are law enforcement, and this person has broken a treasonous law.
Well, it just completely undermines their power. And they're not willing to accept that.
I'm saying, on both sides, whether or not they're doing it to protect their power and their safety.
So I give it like a 50-50 shot, I guess, at this point. But like, if she actually gets indicted, man, it will be the greatest thing that's happened in American politics in my lifetime.
Oh,
that's for sure. Yeah. It's just like
because there's these kinds of things that happen all the time. This is just the one that's been so obvious that they can't ignore.
She's had so many scandals, so it's the one that they just can't get away from. Yeah,
right.
And then, but I think Bernie would be hilarious in like a debate with the guy's a raving fucking lunatic.
Back to this. This is what's funny to me. I understand why people like him, though, in the sense that if you are a person of that ideology, he's the Ron Paul of that ideology.
It's just the ideology is so fundamentally
flawed.
The
ideology I disagree with, but I understand why the people who... And this is what's funny to me, is that it is showing both he and Trump, and before Trump, Ron Paul, it's showing that the establishment on both sides, they hate the people that are actually popular with their constituents more than they hate the other side.
I know. Like, we've literally seen the GOP fight harder against Trump than against Hillary and Bernie.
And Ron Paul. Like, they did measures to shut him out.
The only difference is that they can't... The way they've kept people like Ron Paul out is through the money and the media.
Right.
With Trump controls both those anyway. Like, the media, he's going to get in the media.
He manipulates that a lot better than they can.
He's got the money, and he's better at manipulating the media than they are, so...
Right, because he knows how to...
When you have a message like that is against the mainstream but it's popular, there's no such thing as bad publicity. So the more they try to slam him down, the more popular it makes him.
The more it's a case of him being the guy standing up to the man, which is what everybody on the right wants at this point.
Yeah.
Is they're tired
and half the people on the left.
That's
why they like people like Bernie. Even
that's what I'm saying. They just think there's a different solution to our problems. But both sides know that the establishment is fucking us.
Right. But we're starting to finally see people who have been like just... very partisan, like Republicans for years, realizing, like, look, the Republican Party would literally...
or whatever?
No, like, they've been particularly partisan, like, just always voting for Republican, regardless. Being like, I'll just go with the R by their name. Right. Realizing that the Republican Party would rather have... They'd literally rather lose with Jeb than win with Trump. Because,
exactly.
Yeah, and that should be
eye-opening. They would rather have a
Clinton
Clinton in office than Trump as a Republican
in office, which is and that like shows you where their head's at,
right?
Because I mean, you look at the donor list, like J.P. Morgan, Goldman Sachs, they literally give money to both candidates,
right?
How that doesn't like open people's eyes is to like the fact that there's no meaningful difference long term.
It's just a difference of how they carry themselves. It's offering two different looking things, so you think you have a choice,
right?
Not only that, it's that yes, there is a difference in the who gets the benefits of the patronage of the party, depending on which party's in power. But we're
talking about long-term, the direction of the country.
The country is still less and less for its own people and more for special
interests. And that's what I've been telling people. Is I'm a staunch libertarian, so there's obviously a lot about Trump's politics that I disagree with because he's he's a statist. He thinks that the government should be doing a lot of these things, which I don't. But fundamentally, I honestly think that he cares about America succeeding.
Right.
Or he may be wrong about the way to do it.
In his vision, he thinks of American can be great again, if we just go back to like run America like a business, make money, help American businesses. And I think there's some flaws to that because again, the problems are some of the same problems that we started with, which is if you just make the country about making money, you're gonna...
Which I don't think is what his thing is,
no,
really.
But I'm just saying that...
You certainly can't make it work without making money.
No, this is true. A socialist economy just doesn't work. Now, a free economy is the only
reason I'm not
works.
too worried about some of that is because with the way our debt money system is set up, there's nothing you can do to quote-unquote fix it without changing it. So it's going to have to be... I don't even want to say collapse, but it's going to have to change at some point. So I'm not really worried too much about that. Not even worried.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. So I don't know if he's going to be the guy that does that or not.
I don't think
he'll fix it, but he may. The cool thing about this.
But the thing is, we have to have a solid enough country when that happens to survive.
The cool thing about this
the
is
immigration
that the big issues that face America these days, and whether or not it's going to survive, are immigration, the brokenness of the financial system in total. Like just it's run wrong from top to bottom.
And it's just fundamentally flawed.
That's what I'm saying. It's fundamentally flawed because it's based on buying money from banks. Why? We don't need to.
Right.
On top of all the other stupid regulations that don't do what they're supposed to. And how they use the money
afterwards. Right. The basic, just like fundamental way our money system works before anyone's even made any decisions about it.
Bad decisions with how you spend the money or who you give money to and who you
just
don't.
Literally where the money comes from and how it runs through is just destined to fail.
The third one then is just the government creep and bloat and everything like that.
And just in terms of government scope.
I guess a fourth one would just be our cultural disillusion. Which those other three are contributing to.
Right.
Ron Paul ran on fixing the financial system and cutting back government bloat. And primarily fixing the financial and monetary system.
The problem with that is that not very many people really understand.
People don't understand that. But people understand the immigration thing, and so that's why Trump's become... And also, it's enough years now that, let's say, Ron Paul was actually running again, a younger man, he might have more success now.
Well, that's
not
sort of
as much
Rand
because
Paul, but he's not quite... He didn't have quite the following. He wasn't quite as hardline on that stuff. And, like we were saying before, he was too easy to shut out by the establishment.
Right. But it's just, like you said, the main thing is the financial stuff is not as understood as a problem by people. Like,
they just think... know what the issue is.
They don't understand the idea of...
People know that there is a problem, but that's why someone like Bernie Sanders is so popular, because instead of saying, like, this is why it's wrong, we're going to fix it, he just says, like, vote for me and all your wildest dreams will come true.
Right, or just say, screw the banks. It's like, well, yes, I agree with screw the banks.
But what does that mean?
But do you know why I say that?
Yeah, exactly.
I say that because they are loan sharks that run our country now. Not because capitalism is evil.
Because they're bailed out when they make mistakes and they can't... All this stuff. But they just see, like, there's somebody that's taking my money. And
or they just think capitalism evil, kill the banks.
Yeah, like Walmart, kill the bank. Like, they don't care what the big company is.
You're not making the distinction that what we have is literally legal criminals running our financial system. Like, what they were doing would be criminal if anyone else did it in any other industry.
Stuff like that.
But... it's okay for them because they got special laws passed.
Because they support both candidates, so they don't care who gets it. So they own them both before they...
Right. And
that's why I think one of the most powerful memes I've seen was this one that showed Hillary... I think it showed like three categories. I think it was Hillary... was it Cruz? No, or Jeb Bush. This is back when he even had a shot. What a wiener. I got another story about him. I don't know if you've heard this, but anyways, it showed Hillary, Jeb, and Trump in categories and said donors, and it was like all these banks, all these union things, and then Trump was like one donor, Donald Trump.
Right,
$10 million. And I'm like, hello.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Just the fact that he's not controlled is hugely important.
Just the fact that he's been the guy buying the politicians up to this point. Yeah. Even though it's like, people try to dismiss it as like, that's why he's corrupt.
And to me, I'm like, well, shit, man, that shows you how fucked up this is. And I actually like that. Like, he knows how this works.
He knows how this works.
Right.
He's going to be the guy taking the reins instead of the guy taking the bribes, you know? Like, fair enough. Like, at some point, we need a bit of a strong horse. And you know what? If nothing else, if he goes in there and fucks it up, it'll be proof we just need to start lynching the people that are running our country, If you can't even trust the anti-establishment candidate to shake things up anymore.
Exactly. If he just does the same things, then it's like, well, that doesn't matter. We're just doomed.
Right, yeah.
Or if this is the last chance to really stem immigration in a way that will affect demographics. Because say someone like Jeb or Hillary or Rubio, anyone Yeah, if they get 48 years, there will be no way to win a conservative, just on demographics alone, a conservative presidential election ever again.
Right.
Ever.
And there'll be no way to stop certain parts of the country from becoming new countries.
The country will break up. Yeah, that's what I mean. It'll just break up. Because there'll be the demographics
within the next generation or two.
Demographic flood.
The demographics will
if
make
you think that's good or not.
Or something come to be.
It'll just, and you don't even think that's bad. It will happen.
Right. It's certainly not bad for the people for whom it will happen for.
I think it probably would be.
Well, to some extent it would be bad. But I mean, they would prefer it,
may be desirable to them.
Right. Desirable to them to have, part of South California become, or something, surrounding areas become North Mexico.
So it's interesting. We'll see. What else we got?
You were talking about Yeb.
Oh, Yeb. Yeah, there was a story. I made a video about it, but it really smacked of something that was contrived.
The little turtles thing?
Yes, did I tell you that already?
No, I think I saw your video.
Okay, yeah. About, it would seem to me, in case the people listening haven't seen my video, it felt really contrived by his political team as something that they thought would be really endearing. Right, yeah, but it just comes across as weird and creepy. Yeah. And that was that they were like, he was at some speech he gave or whatever to his people, and there's a little kid there, and he was like talking to the kid, and he pulled out this little plastic turtle out of his pocket. And gave it to the kid and was like, slow and steady wins the race, kid. And everyone was supposed to be like, oh, yeah, so cute.
Golf clap.
But instead they're like, you carry little plastic turtles around
at all times?
Yes, all the time for little kids. And they were like, it's supposed to be endearing. Like, it's just fucking creepy and weird.
That's kind of pedo, like, have some candy. Like, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not like a guy who normally, you're not like a clown who entertains children, so you have
So he did that just for a photo op.
It's like, you did it for a photo op, or you're telling me that this presidential candidate sits in rooms waiting to find a kid he can give a turtle to.
And also what I thought was funny and what I mentioned in the video is I was like, and second of all, slow and steady doesn't win the race.
No,
that's a loser's mantra.
Yeah.
Sitting around slow and steady only wins the race when the fast and steady take a nap.
Right.
Like fast and steady wins the race. The tortoise, do you remember the story? The tortoise only won because the rabbit took a nap.
Right. The whole point was that the rabbit could have won if they weren't lazy.
Right. So if his strategy is that I'll be here when Trump naps, good luck.
Right.
I mean, that's sort of what it is. Right. I'm still here.
The whole point
Trump,
of the slow and steady wins the race is the steady part. If you can be fast and steady, that's better.
Right. Fast and steady.
The whole point was don't be fast, but frivolous.
Right.
Because then you'll just lose to the guy who keeps at it.
If you're still moving, yeah. But if the fast guy keeps moving, he's gonna win.
He's gonna win. Right. Yeah. Exactly. It's better
to be a steady rabbit,
a steady sprinter
than
a steady tortoise. Yeah, exactly. The only thing that the tortoise has going for him is that they're steady. I mean, now it's a good. The Aesop's fable is illustrating a good virtue,
right?
But you're missing the point.
Yeah, missing the point.
Slow.
You don't want to be slow. You want to be steady.
Right. Yeah. You want to be steady.
Fast and steady wins the race.
Add fast on top of that, then you're going to win.
Fast and steady wins the race.
Right. If nothing else, steady is what helps because in the long run, most of life is endurance, not sprints.
Right.
Or
you just endurance at least until the goal's accomplished.
Right. It's
even if it's a short race, you have to go to the finish line.
Well, just not talking a physical race. Just many things in life, what it takes is keeping at it.
Right.
But
I'm saying it's not necessarily even long term. You just have to keep at it until it's over.
Right. Yeah. First, you don't succeed. Try again. Is basically what it's saying, and just keeping the guy who keeps trying, and then the guy who gives up a little halfway through or thinks, "Oh, I've already got halfway. I can slow down." It's like,
the point
was hair had just kept steady.
That putting in the time beats just raw talent in and of itself. Like you'd see guys in the gym that, like in jiu-jitsu gym, who would be really, really good
to start,
but then they just stopped coming, and the people who were not great but were there every workout, all of a sudden the people come back 6 months later and they beat them.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? But if that person had been in here the whole time, they would be really, really good.
Yeah, exactly. They'd be a phenom. Yeah,
so that's more what it is. But it was just funny because I'm like, it's not even a correct thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of funny ones. Like I was talking to somebody too, like other aphorisms or little affirmations and
platitudes,
things or little quips like that. Another one's funny is probably made sense 1,000 years ago when they didn't have any idea about the cosmology of the world of the universe, but shoot for the moon, at least you'll land among the stars.
But the moon's closer than the stars.
Closer than the stars.
Way closer than any stars.
Right.
It should be the other way around.
Us and the moon is among the stars. You're already among the stars on the Earth.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Between the sun and the Earth, you could make a line between the sun, Earth, and another star at any point.
Yeah, shoot for the stars and maybe you'll land on the moon.
Right, yeah, exactly. Shoot for the stars. Maybe you'll land on the moon. The
or at least has a habitable surface.
Right, yeah, exactly. Potentially habitable.
Potentially habitable surface.
I'm going to shoot for the moon. At least you'll land in the sunless void and suffocate.
If you don't make it, you'll just be in the Let us be in the void of space with no oxygen and no one to hear you scream.
That way you can die in the vacuum of space.
Yeah.
You know?
You don't make it, you'll land among the cold vacuum of
space.
Cold,
pitiless vacuum of space. Your last scream evaporated.
Somehow we should make that into a Cards Against Humanity card.
Right, yeah, shoot for the moon. And then
but it has to be like a verb, like shooting for the moon. But instead landing in the cold, hideous vacuum of space.
They're shooting for the moon, landing among the stars, and the cold, sunless vacuum.
AKA the cold, sunless
vacuum of space. Yeah. Suffocating vacuum of space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be great. That should be one that will bring out all the Cards Against Humanity cards that we've made.
Yeah.
And go through them for one of our podcasts.
Yes, that's true. I kind of want to go over right now because some of them were funny. At least to me. It's probably inside baseball jokes.
We can collect them all together. No, most of them were fairly...
Well, like the one about, I don't know if anybody else remembers that pickle company, but...
Well, it's still funny. No one else that was at that game knew it.
Nobody else knew
it.
They laughed every time.
Yeah,
like, it's so absurd. I can't believe that pickle company existed.
We'll collect the cards.
That's a little tantalizing thing for next time.
Yeah. Maybe we'll come up with a few others in the meantime.
Yeah.
Because we only came up with 5 or 10 for those, because we ran out of blank cards.
Well, we're probably a good stopping point then, because we're about 50 minutes in here.
Sounds good.
We don't bore the audience with too many hour-long episodes or something like that.
Cool.
But... yeah, so stay tuned. Next time we'll try and work in some of the stuff we've promised. And keep an eye out for videos and everything. And not immediately, but shortly in the future. And go to Amazon through our link on englishinenglish.net.
Peace out, homies.
Peace out. That was a fart.